Hi, welcome to Daily Dose of Anime Recaps. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the first 10 episodes of the series, A Certain Scientific Railgun. In this city, schoolgirls are appointed to tackle crime and apprehend the criminals. Are they good enough to handle the situation alone, or will they be terribly exposed? Before we begin, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next episodes. The episode opens in Academy City, a city comprising more than 80% of students. On a normal day, a group of thugs gather around a schoolgirl and try to harass her. On the other hand, Kuroko Shirai, a member of a public moral committee group known as Judgment, tries to capture a thug who is running away after committing a crime. She gets surprised to find that her senior at Takawadai Middle School, Mikoto Misaka, has already dispatched other thugs that she was going after, much to her annoyance. The scene then shifts to the school, where the physical exams of the students are being tested. After completing the test, Kuroko is titled as Level 4, while Mikoto is ranked as Level 5 esper. A Level 5 esper is very rare in the school, and for this reason, everyone is really attracted to Mikoto, and they adore her abilities. Meanwhile, we are introduced to two other school students, Kazari Yuharu and her friend Ruiko Saten. Despite working hard for years, Kazari is still a Level 1 esper, and sadly, Ruiko is at Level 0 esper. Surprisingly, being at the lowest level doesn't worry Ruiko, and she also asks Kazari to cheer up. While having lunch, Kuroko tells Mikoto that she has invited her colleague Kazari to meet her as she is a great fan of hers. Mikoto does not like to meet strangers in general, but because Kuroko mentioned that Kazari is a friend of hers, she agrees to meet her. Kazari, on the other hand, decides to bring along her friend, Ruiko Saten, as well. As the group of four enters a creperie, Kazari and Ruiko are shocked to see that Mikoto is nothing like the snooty socialite they had imagined. They are astonished to find her friendliness and generosity. The unfortunate thing is that while the group is having fun, multiple blasts occur in the building and a nearby bank gets robbed. Being a member of the Judgment Squad, Kuroko immediately uses her teleportation power to confront the three thieves and successfully captures two of them. The third one manages to escape and tries to abduct a wandering child on his run. Ruiko tries to stop him from abducting the child and gets harmed in the process. This infuriates Mikoto, who then employs her electromagnetic abilities to launch her trademark railgun strike at the robber and thwart his attempt to flee. Following this, the anti-skills, the city's police, and security all work together to arrest the thieves, and everyone thanks Ruiko for her valiant rescue. The next day, Kuroko plans a surprise for Mikoto to celebrate their 1-month anniversary as roommates in the dorm. Unfortunately, when she gets ready to wear a nightsuit and opens the door for Mikoto, she is shocked to see Kazari and Ruiko with her. In fact, Mikoto has invited them to visit their dormitory room. Embarrassed and enraged, Kuroko immediately changes her clothes, while Kazari and Ruiko have a look around their room. Next, Ruiko drags a box from under Kuroko's bed and is taken aback to see her collection of bold undergarments. After this, the group enjoys looking at the childhood photos of Mikoto, but when they ask for Kuroko's childhood photos, she denies having them. To Kuroko's annoyance, Ruiko searches among her belongings and finds a photo album. Surprisingly, when looking inside, they find the photos of Mikoto only. Kuroko defends herself by mentioning that she cares for Mikoto a lot and wants to capture every moment with her. Right then, the doorbell rings, and the delivery guy outside informs him that he has some aphrodisiacs to deliver. Hearing this, Mikoto gets angry at Kuroko and inquires with her why she ordered aphrodisiacs to celebrate something. The confrontation continues in the hallway, and both of them are caught by the Tokawadai dorm supervisor while using their prohibited powers. As a result, they are ordered to clean the swimming pool as punishment. In the next scene, while cleaning the pool, Mikoto meets Kinuho Wanai and Maya Awatsuki, two of Kuroko's classmates. Kuroko is envious of Mikoto's ability to get along with people when Konoho offers to use her aquatic kinetic abilities to assist Mikoto to clean the pool as repayment for saving her from the thugs earlier. Seeing Kuroko feeling down, Mikoto cheers her up by giving her a gift commemorating a different anniversary. The day they became friends, Kuroko immediately becomes happy to see the gift and mistakenly drinks the aphrodisiac she was about to give Mikoto while toasting for their celebration. As a result, she becomes so filled with lust that she takes Mikoto's undergarments while she is still wearing them and offers her to wear a swimsuit. This makes Mikoto extremely angry, and she electrocutes Kuroko using her electrical powers. Elsewhere, we see a strange schoolgirl keeping an eye on one of Kuroko's seniors. When the senior is walking on a lonely road, the strange girl tases the senior and ruins her eyebrows. Meanwhile, Mikoto and Kuroko extend an invitation to Kazari and Ruiko to visit the school garden, a private area in Academy City that is home to many elite girls' schools. During their visit, Ruiko unfortunately unfortunately slips on a puddle of water and gets her uniform wet. She then has to borrow a Tokuwadai uniform from Mikoto and wear it for the visit, looking like one of Tokuwadai's students. In the middle of their visit, while they are enjoying their lunch, Kuroko and Kazari are summoned back to judgment. They were then told about a case in which numerous Tokuwadai girls were tased and had exaggerated eyebrows painted on them with permanent markers. At the same time, Ruiko goes to the restroom of the cafe to freshen herself up, where she suddenly gets attacked after being mistaken for a Tokuwadai student due to her outfit. She therefore becomes the next victim. After Ruiko takes too much time to return, Mikoto looks out for her and finds her lying on the floor of the restroom. Following this, Mikoto calls Kazari and Kuroko for help and lets Ruiko take a rest. During this, they try to zero out the suspect capable of performing such attacks on the Tokuwadai's girls. The previous victim states that she didn't see the face of the attacker, and using this info, Mikoto asks Kazari to find the list of espers who are capable of using the power of being invisible. Kuroko and Kazari then narrow down the possible suspect to level 2 esper Miho, who has the ability to become invisible to human sight. Right then, Ruiko also wakes up and confirms that she saw a girl similar to Miho in the reflection in the bathroom mirror before she passed out. With this verification, the girls utilize the garden CCTV system to find and corner Miho. Miho tries her best to escape, but fails every time and eventually gets caught. After this, she confesses that her odd eyebrows caused her boyfriend to abandon her in favor of a Tokuwadai student. This tragedy motivated her to pick on other Tokuwadai students and ruin their eyebrows, making them look similar to hers. Miho is pleased when Ruiko forgives her and compliments her eyebrows out of sympathy. Soon, the anti-skill squad arrives there and arrests Miho, but Kuroko is still confused about how a level 2 esper can be so powerful. In the next scene, Mikoto, Kuroko, Ruiko, and Kazari discuss the various stories of urban legends that have been surfing around on the internet. One of the most absurd ones is about an anonymous woman who likes to undress in public, but Mikoto gets stuck on one urban legend story which states about a boy who has the power to negate other powers. Mikoto then quickly remembers her first encounter with a boy named Tomaka Mijo, who assisted her when a group of thugs was bothering her. At that time, all other thugs were injured by her powers except Toma. When in town, Mikoto notices Toma trying to assist a woman to locate her car in the parking lot. Mikoto approaches him, and while the two are talking, the woman starts undressing herself, stating that the weather is very hot. This makes Toma and Mikoto feel uncomfortable, and Toma asks the woman to put on her shirt. Unfortunately, the people around them assume that Toma is behaving inappropriately with the woman, causing him to run away from there, leaving Mikoto to assist the woman in finding her car. Following this, Mikoto accompanies the woman to find her car, and during this, they have some serious conversation about the power of espers and possible ways to negate them. Right then, a small boy spills ice cream on the woman's skirt, and she again undresses in public, making Mikoto remember the urban legend of an undressing woman. Later, Mikoto helps her dry her skirt and also locates her car. After the woman drives away, Mikoto again runs into Toma while on her way back home. She gets enraged for him leaving her with a strange woman, and also gets him to agree to battle between their powers along a riverside. Mikoto makes inventive use of her abilities, but she is powerless to stop Toma from being able to block her attacks. When Toma notices Mikoto flinching, he pretends to lose, but this just makes her angrier and she continues to pursue him all night. In the following scene, Kuroko and Kazari are out on patrol when they stumble across two small-time burglars breaking into a car in the parking lot in the daytime. Kazari suggests that they stop for backup to arrive before confronting the burglars, but Kuroko does not listen to her and moves forward. To her bad luck, the robbers assault her, and despite Kazari trying to block their way, they manage to flee, but not before hurting Kazari with a taser gun. Later, Kuroko approaches Kazari and suggests she stay at the branch office and look after the documents as she is not ready for a full-fledged patrolling. Hearing this, Kazari gets enraged and reprimands Kuroko for disregarding both their joint vow and her warning before confronting the burglars. Back at the dorm, looking at her sad face, Mikoto asks Kuroko what has happened to her. Kuroko then tells her about her encounter with Kazari and how they got into an argument. Following this, she also begins to tell her about her first encounter with Kazari in Judgment a few years ago. The scene then flashes back in time when Kuroko is with her senior, Kanori, in a bank. Right then, Kanori notices a strange man holding a pistol in his pocket. Before she could call for help, the criminal pulls out the pistol and fires it, making all others afraid. Kanori tries to confront him, but then his friends show up, aka other criminals, to assist him in the bank robbery. Kuroko tries to attack the criminals but gets her senior injured, as Komori is hit by a ball thrown by a criminal at Kuroko. The criminal also holds Kazari as a hostage. After realizing her errors, Kuroko uses her power powers and manages to teleport Kazari outside to safety, while she remains inside to confront the robbers. In the end, Mikoto, who responds to Kazari's request for assistance, saves Kuroko and also successfully captures the robbers. Back at Judgment's office, Kuroko and Kazari make a promise to be true to themselves and grow into complete Judgment members, helping each other in need. Back to the present, while telling the story to Mikoto, Kuroko remembers the promise she made to Kazari and realizes that it was her mistake not to follow her suggestions while confronting the car burglars. She then immediately rushes back to the Judgment office, befriends Kazari, and continues looking after the car's burglars together. Enraged with Kuroko, Mikoto calls Kazari to meet her in a cafe. Here, Kazari explains the gravitation case to Mikoto and tells her that Kuroko might have asked her to remain vigilant out of concern. Suddenly, Kuroko arrives there and drags Kazari out of the cafe, stating that there is an important case to handle. Before leaving, she also tells Mikoto that being a Judgment officer is not everyone's piece of cake. Following this, Kazari has forgotten her Judgment armband and Mikoto picks it up on her behalf. When she steps outside of the cafe, she meets Kanori, who believes that Mikoto is a Judgment officer after noticing the Judgment armband with her. Mikoto also does not tell her the truth, and to prove to Kuroko that she too has everything that is needed to be a Judgment officer, she confirms to be Kanori's backup. However, when Kanori makes her clean the city waste and help the civilians, she soon discovers that serving on the Judgment is not as fascinating as she had imagined it to be. She rather finds it to be completely tedious and challenging. In the meantime, Kuroko calls Kanori and asks her to find the little girl's bag. Hearing this, Mikoto assumes that it has something to do with the gravitation bomb case and urges Kanori to immediately get into the act. After searching for some time, they arrive at the children's park and notice a dog carrying a pink bag, similar to the description of the young girl's bag. Mikoto then uses force to get the bag from the dog, only to find out there is no bomb at all. Eventually, Kuroko and Kazari also arrive at the park with the little girl and reveal Mikoto's true identity, but she is nonetheless appreciated for her assistance, and by the end of the day, Mikoto has a new respect for a Judgment member's work. The following day, however, a Judgment member is hurt while defending a civilian from a gravitation explosion. After facing difficulties in tracking down the culprit of the continuous gravitation bombing attacks, the Judgment and Nanny Skills teams join hands to work together for the cause. Meanwhile, Ruiko and Mikoto discuss the Level Upper, an urban legend that is believed to raise an esper's level without requiring training and hard work. Elsewhere, we are shown a schoolboy being bullied multiple times by other students for money. Furthermore, the students also belittle him for his appearance and walk away after beating him. Later that day, Mikoto goes to a shopping mall with Ruiko and Kazari. There, while looking for some pajamas, she bumps into Toma and a little girl whose bag she found the day before. Seeing him, Mikoto challenges him to battle against her powers, and he kindly refuses and walks away. In the meantime, Kanori and Kuroko realize that the attacker is mainly targeting the Judgment officers. Right then, they receive an alert message about the gravitation attacker on their computer screen and his current location. Kuroko then immediately calls Kazari and tells her that the current location of the attacker is in a shopping mall and that she needs to return to the office as soon as possible. Surprisingly, the mall that Kuroko mentions appears to be the same one the girls are shopping at. Kazari then asks Ruiko and Mikoto to help her evacuate the place. After the evacuation is complete, Mikoto is informed that the little girl is still inside the shopping mall. Hearing this, she immediately rushes inside along with Toma. The attacker has actually sent a stuffed toy with the little girl, asking her to give it to Kazari. Before the girl can hand over the toy, Mikoto arrives there and asks Kazari to throw the toy away. The toy explodes and Mikoto tries to stop it with her railgun but fails. Luckily, Toma extends his arms and saves everyone. The attacker walks away but soon gets captured by Mikoto. The culprit then reveals himself to be Hatsuya Kaitabi and mentions that he wanted to punish Judgment for failing to save him from bullies. Soon the Any-Skill Squad arrives there and arrests him. The next day, Kuroko wonders how Level 2 Esper Hatsuya has abilities compared to those of a Level 4 Esper. Seeing her stressed, Mikoto buys her a freezing drink and asks her to calm down. Out of nowhere, Ruiko arrives there and joins them. She also informs them that Kazari is ill and taking bed rest at the dorm. While leaving, she invites Mikoto and Kuroko to her dorm to meet Kazari. Later, the three of them arrive at Ruiko's dorm room, where Kazari can be seen sleeping. Here, they begin talking about Hatsuya, and Kuroko notes that it is not the first first time an esper's power and documented level have been significantly different. Mikoto then brings up the urban tale Ruiko had previously referenced about Level Upper. Kazari also makes an internet search and tells Mikoto that she may find the ones who have the information about the Level Upper at a particular restaurant. Wasting no time, Mikoto rushes towards the restaurant, with Kuroko following her. Mikoto enters the restaurant and poses as a customer to a group of boys who she believes know something about the Level Upper. Despite having no information, the boys think of taking advantage of her and take her to a lonely corner. They then ask her to hand over the cash she has, but Mikoto refuses to do so. When they try to force her, Mikoto gives up her despised role and attacks the boys with her powers. Following this, she faces the leader of the group, Elder Sister, who has the ability to play with the viscosity of the asphalt. Mikoto prevails in the duel, but not before she accidentally destroys a neighboring generator and knocks out the power to the whole city. The next day, Kuroko and Mikoto learn that Hatsuya and a number of other espers who had displayed unusually potent abilities had all lost consciousness. Mikoto is even surprised when she notices the female doctor arriving at the hospital to look after Hatsuya. The doctor is none other than the woman Mikoto previously met at the parking lot, Harumi Kiyama. Later, while using her internet to download some new music, Ruiko stumbles into a secret link that leads to a download for the Level Upper. In the following scene, it is revealed that Harumi is actually the AIM expert and is looking after the patients who were suffering from sudden unconsciousness. While the two are talking with Harumi at a cafe, Kuroko asked her about her perception of Level Upper. She also asked her that if upgrading the level in an unauthorized manner could affect the functioning of the brain. Harumi gives the matter some thought, but is bothered by Ruiko and Kazari waving their hands from the outside. When Kuroko brings out Level Upper's connection to illicit activity, Ruiko, who had downloaded a music player related to it, remains silent. During their conversation, Ruiko accidentally spills a drink on Harumi's clothes and she starts undressing like before. Kuroko and Mikoto stop her from doing so, telling her that it is inappropriate to undress in a public place. After some time, Harumi leaves. Kuroko and Kazari also depart for their judgment duty, leaving Mikoto and Ruiko outside the cafe. Without saying anything, Ruiko also walks away to an overhead bridge and tries to install the music player. To her bad luck, Mikoto also arrives there looking for her. After noticing she is upset after being a level 0 esper, Mikoto tries to assure Ruiko that levels are not actually significant if the person is happy with oneself. The following day, Kazari and Kuroko list out the possible places they could find Level Upper, and Kuroko decides to look into the locations one by one. Meanwhile, while trying to use the Level Upper music app, Ruiko notices a group of thugs beating a boy, asking for more money for Level Upper. She tries to run away from there but cannot, and ends up confronting the thugs. Fortunately, before the thugs could harm her, Kuroko arrives there and manages to take down two of the thugs. But because of the group leader Trick's deceptive ability to distort light, it has an impact on her calculations, making it difficult for her to use her teleportation abilities against him. Trick pursues Kuroko through an abandoned building until Kuroko finally figures out the ways to tackle him. She uses teleportation to sever the building's supports by teleporting the window glass into them. As a result, the building collapses and Trick, who barely made it, gives over his Level Upper, which turns out to be a music file. Later, while Ruiko is feeling confused to use Level Upper, she meets several of her classmates who are also at level 0, and upon learning that they are also curious about the Level Upper, she chooses to share about the Level Upper music player with them. In the following scene, Ruiko utilizes the Level Upper on herself and her buddies, which succeeds in providing them with powers like an esper. Ruiko is very happy to get her desired powers and to be able to use them for the first time. In the meantime, Kuroko confronts more of the Level Upper offenders and sustains additional wounds, but keeps them hidden from Mikoto. While remembering the time they consumed shaved ice and had brain freeze, Mikoto and Kuroko reason that Level Upper is employing synesthesia to affect many senses with a single stimulus. Suddenly, while exploring their newly acquired powers, one of Ruiko's friends goes unconscious and falls to the ground. Afraid, Ruiko immediately calls Kazari and tells her about the situation. She also tells her that it is because of using the Level Upper in the first place and that she too has used it. With a depressing voice, Ruiko tells Kazari to take care of herself as she is also starting to fall unconscious. Wasting no time, Kazari gets to the dorm and discovers that Ruiko is unconscious, lying on the floor. After Ruiko is confined to the hospital, Mikoto wants to help Judgment locate the perpetrator since she feels that she offended Ruiko by claiming that an esper's rank is irrelevant. In the meantime, Kazari has gone to visit Harumi to plead with her to save her best friend. Mikoto and others are called by the frog-faced doctor, Haven Chancellor, who informs them that the level-upper victims all share a similar brainwave pattern. He also mentions that the brainwaves are being controlled by someone, and also concludes that the person is trying to utilize the level-upper's brain to do something big. Getting the information and the motivation of the suspect from Dr. Haven, Mikoto, Kuroko, and Kimuro search through the Judgment's database to find a match. To their dismay, the database displays Harumi as a match, and the girls discover that the one doing all this is Harumi. They conclude that Harumi had been connecting the level-upper's brain capacity to connect with one another and trying to create a powerful network of brains of espers. On the other hand, Kazari discovers the level-upper victims' files in Harumi's office drawers and realizes that she is the one harming them. Sadly, before she could do anything, she is captured by Harumi, who handcuffs her and takes her for a ride in her car. The episode ends with Mikoto leaving on her own after observing Kuroko's wounds in order to save Kazari and stop Harumi.